All right, Coach, another week in the books for the Rail Splitters and a massive matchup upcoming this weekend for the team. Let's first kind of talk about where the team's at right now heading into this weekend's matchup against the number one team in the country. After, a game that you weren't happy about, that trip to Lenoir-Rhyne, it seems like we're right back on track playing some of the best basketball of the year, a 33-point win over Anderson and a 46-point win over Coker. Let's talk about that Coker win. What have you seen from your team over those last two games, and particularly on Saturday?
Well, I just think we played with really good energy. I thought, when you look at the Lenoir-Rhyne game, I was a little, concerned. I thought we came out and played with, we looked tired. I don't know if it was, like I said, more mental fatigue or what have you, but we shouldn't have been tired. We had been off for the week and came back and practiced for 3 days and then played. So, we looked tired, maybe a little, didn't have much juice. So, thought, we did enough. Like I told you, I think we had probably 2 or 3 good spurts in that game where we played good basketball for, a couple minutes at a time, and those kind of masked the rest of the game where we were really deficient. I thought Lenoir-Rhyne, really outplayed us for most of the 40 minutes, but we were able to get the win. I think we came back and practices, our preparation's been better. I think we prepared well all week last week. Guys were locked in, more engaged in practice. Again, that doesn't guarantee you anything. No one really cares. Like I told them, you got to prepare well, I believe, to perform well, but I can't get in the post game and no one really cares. Like, geez, you got your butts kicked. You should have seen some practice though Monday and Tuesday. Gosh, we were great, and so at the end of the day, it comes down to your performance. I thought both games we performed well. Ball moved. I thought we defended pretty well. I mean, there's things you can go back and a lot of areas we got to improve upon. I think there's no question about that. But we did a lot of things at a high level. 26 assists against Coker. Thought in the first half they're a really good offensive rebounding team. Held them to 1 offensive rebound in the first half. Turned them over. Their field goal percentage was pretty high, actually, like in the upper 40s. But turned them over 25 times. So we did a good job, shrinking the floor, helping one another, being pretty solid at the point of attack on the dribble. And so did a lot of good things. But again, I thought much different in terms of our preparation, our focus, our attention to detail in practice was at a different level, and that translated in a better performance, when the ball was tipped up. So a really good week for us, two good home wins against league opponents, and, hopefully some momentum going into this week. Obviously things get much harder as we go on.
And it seems like a big part of what's kind of carried the team to some good performances the last couple of games is that that those 4 guys, Dorian Pinson, Emmanuel Terry, Scooter Taylor, and then on top of that, you got Trayvon Shaw, who's been doing it all season. Career highs from both Emmanuel Terry and Scooter Taylor in the last 2 games. And then on top of that, Dorian Pinson putting up near triple-double numbers like he does every night. So what have you seen from those 4 guys? Have they continued to get better throughout the season?
Yeah, I mean, I think they all, bring unique skill sets to the table. I think, Dorian, Emmanuel have been doing it for a long time. They just continue to get better. They're guys that are hard workers. Again, they as sophomores start on the team that played for the national championship. They played in big games. They're proven, but I think they're guys that now as seniors are playing their best basketball, and that's what you hope and expect. We've talked about Dorian's ultimate competitor, ultimate winner. He's been a champion here, obviously we look at his results. I mean, and he's just, continues to work and lead, and he's kind of the heart and soul of the group in terms of, competitiveness and toughness, and he brings that to the table. I think with Emmanuel, he just, his growth from year 1 to now is extraordinary. He's a fantastic defensive player. Has been, a guy who does a great job protecting the rim. He's a shot blocker, terrific rebounder. His area, all over the floor. He rebounds other areas outside of his area. But what he's really evolved into now is a guy that's a terrific screener and roller. Puts pressure on the rim. He's finishing around the basket. He's improved his free throw shooting, and so he goes from a guy that really, offensively struggled as a freshman to a guy that's averaging 18 and a half and doing it at a highly efficient level. And then he's averaging about, 10, 11 rebounds a game. So his growth on both ends of the floor has been terrific. And then, when you look at Trayvon, he's just in his second year, third year in our program total, redshirt a year, but second year on the floor. He's a guy that does what he does as well as anybody. He knows his strengths. He plays to his strengths. I think he does a nice job of, he runs the floor hard. He finds open gaps. He can score the ball as well as anybody we've had here from the three-point line. He gets to the rim. He's got a nice mid-range game, and he just finds ways to put the ball in the basket. And he's improving the other areas of his game. But he's a guy that again, you look at his shooting numbers. I think he's made 70+ threes in the first half of the year. Is extraordinary, and he's doing it at a really efficient rate. That's incredible. And then with Scoot, I just think you're seeing a guy whose confidence is growing and growing, kind of game by game. He's just, I think, letting the game come to him. He's a guy that is kind of getting it inside the flow. But what's impressed me about him is he's really taken on the role, kind of what Lou did last year, of guarding the other team's best perimeter player. And then on the other side of the ball, going out and scoring for us and doing it at an efficient level. And to have I was always amazed and still am, Lou's energy and stamina and ability that's hard to undertake, to go out and defend the other team's best player and do all that work and all that goes into that. And then because your usage rate is so high defensively, and then to come back offensively and be able to put the ball in the basket and do that efficiently, that's a tremendous challenge. And Scoot has really kind of evolved into that for us and doing a great job.
Well, now I don't know how many times this has ever happened in Division II hoops, but you're set to play the number one team in the country for the second time in 5 games, and it's the same number one team, or it's a different number one team in the country. Queens, a team that we've obviously gotten well acquainted to over the last few years, they're sitting at 16-0, 8-0 in conference. We're also 8-0 in conference play. So how are you preparing for that matchup?
Well, I think obviously they're terrific. I think when we had the press conference last year after the regional championship game, I had to put a bullseye on them, but I said they'd probably come back as number one team in the country, in 17-18, looking at what they had back. It's no, to anybody that knows basketball, it's no surprise that they're number one in the country and that they're having the year they're having. They were a national championship caliber team last year, and I think they're better this year because of the continuity. They returned 4 all-league players, and all those guys are improved. They've added some pieces with Diankulu and Willett, et cetera, inside. The bench guys that are back, I think Carr's better. He looks to be playing with more confidence, and he played great against us at their place last year, DJ White, et cetera. And so I think from our end, you prepare and you got to go out and hope to prepare to play your best game of the season on Saturday. That's what it's going to take to be competitive. They're a terrific team. They are really good on both sides of the ball. You look at their numbers; they rank at the top of the league in offense and defense and rebounding. There's no real secret. They're good at everything and play well together. They're cohesive. They have experience. They've been in big games. They've won. Obviously a tournament championship last year. Shared the regular season with us. Played in the regional finals. So they've got big game experience. They check all the boxes that really good teams need to check. So the question marks lay more with us, and are we going to play better and do things at a higher level? How much have we grown since playing Northwest Missouri on December 19th? And are we and that game was a neutral game. We didn't handle that situation well at all. And again, not diminishing at all what Northwest did. I thought they were great, but we were terrible. And so if we don't play exponentially better on Saturday, we'll have a very similar result. Because I don't think there's any question those are probably the 2 best teams in the country that I've seen. I haven't seen Bellarmine yet, but those 2 teams are both outstanding.
When you talk about, we played them 4 times last year, and every game in the last 4 has been, the margins have been so slim. Where Deshaun Patterson run in the second half away from, maybe that Southeast Regional game goes a different direction. They win, they nip us by 3 points in the SAC championship game. Trayvon Shaw hits a game winner when we play here in a 2-point win, and then they outlast us in overtime at their place. So You kind of anticipate both teams picked up where they left off. It's going to be a game decided by the margin. So what's it going to take for the Rail Splitters to come out on top?
Well, I think got to be at our best. I mean, they're a really tough task. Like I said, they do everything well. We got to play every possession at the highest level possible for the entire 40 minutes. Like all elite teams, they exploit and punish mistakes. You mess up, and they're going to take advantage of it. It's going to be a great atmosphere. They'll have a great crowd. The number one in the country. It's a game that's. We've played for high stakes the last few years. I think we've played in the postseason. I think the last 3 years, and so both teams are really familiar with each other. Both teams, I think, have similar blueprints for how we go about trying to be successful. But they're hard. I mean, they do a great job. They've got they spread you out. With all their shooting, but you have to find a way to impact the ball because of how well they shoot it. But then you got to be careful not to overextend yourself because they do a great job. And all four of those guys, like you mentioned, Agassi and Withers and Alexander and Davis, can get by you on the bounce. And if you're not able to guard the ball and you're not good at the point of attack, then you start playing into rotations, which leads to closeouts. And now they're offensively already terrific. It grows tremendously when they get you in those closeouts and they become impossible to guard. So we'll have to be at our absolute peak on Saturday to have a chance to be competitive. We'll see if we can get there. We got a couple days here to prepare and get ready and hopefully be ready to play our best on Saturday. It'll take everything we have and to be in there, but hopefully, again, we'll see how much we've grown from December 19th, and hopefully, if we're any good, this will be the first of a few meetings with them. They're definitely good enough. We'll see if we are.